Dixie's biggest hits.
5 years ago this week, one of the biggest hits in the USA was Get on Your Feet by a superstar who says she gets up on her feet with a morning ritual of 1 cup of Cuban coffee. She says it's all she needs to keep her going all day long. I'll have details and that big hit after this.
American Top 40.
These are the top 2 hits in the nation, and at number 2 is the one-woman, 10-man band Miami Sound Machine. Now, they've been touring lately, and their lead singer, Gloria Estefan, painted us a charming picture of what life is like on the road. Quote, "We travel on a bus with bunks. We sleep in our coffins during the day and perform at night, just like Dracula."
American Top 40.
I'm Shadoe Stevens, traveling with the most popular American acts on the international scene, from the teeming streets of Tokyo's Ginza district to the festive beer gardens of Bavaria. It's AT40's World Tour. At number 16 is a band of Cuban Americans who sold millions of records around the world before they hit back home in the USA. They recorded those albums in Spanish. Once they recorded in English, they grabbed North Americans too. Their lead singer says they've learned a lot touring the world.
See, everybody in the United States, it really is funny, but they don't realize what we have here. And it would be great if everybody would take a little trip around the rest of the world and see what is happening and realize that we can feel very secure in the fact that if something goes wrong, at least whether we go to the government, to the press, to somebody will tell our side of the story.
From Miami, Florida, that's Gloria Estefan, the leading lady out in front of Miami Sound Machine, and the world votes them in at number 16.
1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, baby, say you love me. American Top 40.
I'm Shadoe Stevens, you're tuned to American Top 40, and now a love story. It begins almost 15 years ago, back in Miami, when a Cuban-American boy met a Cuban-American girl. His name was Emilio. Her name was Gloria. Emilio remembers the first time they met. Her father was very sick, and she was withdrawn, always sad about life. He says she was overweight, her hair was real short, but she was beautiful even then. And you could see it in the skin and eyes and everything. Well, Emilio had a party band called the Latin Boys, and after high school he tried to convince Gloria to join his group as a singer. He told her, "I think you could be improved 95%. Gloria says it would make me so angry when he would say that because he wasn't talking about me as a singer, but as a whole person. Gloria says she'd glare at Emilio and snap, "If you think I could improve this much, why are you bothering with me? Well, if I don't improve, what if I don't change? And what if I stay like this?" But Emilio kept pushing Gloria. She joined his band and came out of her shell. She lost the weight, and soon he says she was beautiful inside and out. In 1979, Emilio and Gloria were married, and now a decade later, Mrs. Emilio Estefan, produced by her husband, is a star. Here's Gloria Estefan and Don't Want to Lose You.
Sometimes it's hard. Casey's Coast to Coast.
Now, one of the biggest honors in the world is being named Songwriter of the Year by the huge music licensing corporation called BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated. Every year, for more than 2 decades, BMI has picked the Songwriter of the Year based on the most songs played the most times on the radio. Over the years, that title has been carried off by some of the greatest songwriters in the world, from Michael Jackson to Paul Simon. But in the history of the BMI Songwriter of the Year award, no woman has ever won it. Until now. The latest winner of that prestigious award won it for songs from the album Let It Loose, like Rhythm Is Gonna Get You, 1, 2, 3, and Anything for You. The first woman to be BMI's Songwriter of the Year is Gloria Estefan. And that's not all. She's also the first Hispanic to win the award. Is Gloria thrilled? You bet she is. She told us, quote, "I never dreamed I would win. This means more to me than any other award I've ever won. I'm not as well known as a songwriter as I am as a singer. This is the most incredible thing that could happen to me." Well, Gloria's not resting on her laurels. She's in the running again for the BMI Songwriter of the Year award to be given out this May. Gloria's songs have been big hits on the radio for the past 12 months. She wrote most of the ones on her latest album, Cuts Both Ways.
Casey's Top 40.
Well, now we're up to the brand new #1 song in the USA on Casey's Top 40, and it's by a superstar who, because of a bus accident last year, almost lost her ability to walk. For a while, it looked as if she'd lost something else, too, the ability to write top 40 hits. That bus accident last March marked the beginning of a terrible time for this energetic singer from Miami. She had to endure painful back surgery and many sleepless nights. She spent long hours learning to walk again. She underwent months of intensive physical therapy, including weight training and aerobics. But even though doctors and therapists were working to get her body back in shape, this Cuban-American singer and dancer says they couldn't do anything for her spirit, which was also banged up. She was depressed over the accident, and that depression affected her songwriting. When she sat down to compose a song, the words just wouldn't come. After a while, she even stopped going to the studio. The weeks turned to months, and she still couldn't write. Her husband and producer, Emilio, watched her with growing concern. Finally, he cajoled her into dropping by the studio again one day. She didn't have to write, he said. He just wanted her opinion on an unfinished song that he was working on. She said okay. And when she came into the huge studio, Emilio went over to the piano, sat down, and played the chorus of his unfinished song. All he had was a tune and the words, "Coming Out of the Dark." Well, those few lyrics worked magic on the recovering singer, and her writer's block began to disappear. Right then and there, she sat down with her husband and began to write. And she says the words flowed out of her like water. When the two were done, they had created a song. A song inspired by the singer's terrible ordeal. A song about the healing power of love and faith. A song that this week is the biggest hit in the USA. The brand new #1 song on Casey's Top 40 is Coming Out of the Dark, the third #1 for Gloria Estefan.
Music.
Gloria Estefan's Miami mansion only suffered landscaping damage from Hurricane Andrew, but she opened up her heart to those who suffered much more. Gloria and her husband recruited volunteers, and they turned their Miami offices into a distribution center for much-needed diapers, food, and water. Gloria said, "I've got a roof, I've got space, let's start a collection agency." And that's just what she did. Nice going, guys. And the clock on the wall tells me it's time to close the book on yet another rousing edition of
Music.
Casey's biggest hits.
5 years ago this week, one of the biggest hits in the USA was Get on Your Feet by a superstar who says she gets up on her feet with a morning ritual of 1 cup of Cuban coffee. Gloria Estefan says that in the Cuban community in Miami where she lives, coffee isn't just coffee, it's a way of life. Everyone begins their day with coffee so strong, a spoon virtually stands up in it. And most people keep sipping their Cuban coffee all day long. But Gloria says it's just too strong for her. 1 cup in the morning fuels her for a whole day. She says Cuban coffee is, quote, just like the people who drink it. Powerful, sweet, and a little dangerous, unquote.
Casey's Coast to Coast.
Radio stations play them, Radio and Records ranks them, and we count them down. Falling a notch to #3 is the song Music of My Heart, which comes from the movie Music of the Heart. The film stars Meryl Streep and features Gloria Estefan in her acting debut. Gloria says, "I've been offered films in the past, but the timing was bad. I was either touring or recording. For my first effort, I feel good about it," unquote. Feeling good enough to sing the title track, here's Gloria and In Sync with Music of My Heart.
American Top 20.
I'm Casey Kasem. Now, let's open our book of records to the chapter on Hispanic artists and the biggest selling Hispanic woman in the world. She's a woman who hit big back in the 80s and 90s. Though she was born in Cuba, she only has limited memories of her life there. When she was young, her family moved to Florida, and Miami has been her home ever since. In her career, Gloria Estefan has sold more than 35 million records worldwide. That includes 4 albums that have sold more than 3 million copies each in the U.S. alone. And that makes Gloria the biggest-selling Hispanic woman, according to our book of records. I'm Casey Kasem. Now on with a survey.
American Top 20.